Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gretchenada and I am super excited that you're here. This is episode 4 of the Boasting in My Infirmity series. This particular episode I think really hits home because of the fact that it was a struggle for me for so many years, and so I'm actually really excited to kind of like break down why I struggled with a false sense of confidence, how the Lord revealed it to me, what I changed moving forward, and where I am now. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I feel like when the Lord started dealing with my sense of self, it really did hurt because the idea that I had of who I was and the version of myself that I was confident in, it really came tumbling down. Like some of the reasonings that I thought like, oh, I'm just like this and this is what I always do. The Lord would be like, no, you actually believe this because somebody when you were 5 said this, or your mom, your dad did this when you were 7. And a lot of my beliefs and a lot of the ways that I process things was built on a lie, essentially. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So looking back, I've broken down my false confidence into like 3 reasons why I struggle with self-confidence. And number 1 is that I just did not have internal confidence. I sought after external validation. I sought after compliments. I sought after people to kind of make me feel good about myself. And at the time, it felt good because it reinforced a sense of worth in myself that I just didn't have for myself. And so I tried to make sure that I was somebody worth complimenting. I tried to be the center of attention. I tried to show people that there is something about me, there's a skill that I have that's valuable, that's deserving of a compliment and things like that. And so when that happens long enough, you build a false sense of who you are. There's a verse in the Bible that I really like. It's Galatians 6 verse 3, and it says, "For if anyone thinks himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself." And so I was lying to myself about myself. And when you're lying to yourself about yourself, there is no stability. And so you're basically on this roller coaster where the same words that you use to kind of boost yourself up and uplift you, and the same people that speak those words to you are the same people and the same words that can send you in a spiral. So here are some of the ways that a lack of confidence may appear in somebody else or in you. Self-doubt. You're always second guessing yourself. Constant negative self-talk. You're always seeking approval or validation or compliments, whether it's your clothes, your hair, how you're dressing, etc., etc. Deep fear of making mistakes or not being perfect. Overthinking or excessive worry, meaning you're always thinking about like the worst case scenario. Everything is always like the extreme end of things. Struggle to say no and put up boundaries. Chronic comparison. This leads to a feeling of inadequacy, jealousy, like the imposter syndrome concept. You always feel like somebody's better accomplished, everybody else is better than you. Avoid taking up space or contributing to conversations, fearing you will say the wrong things or be judged. Excessive people pleasing. You are constantly trying to gain approval of others by saying and doing things that you feel like they would like based on, what they like and what they prefer. Avoid starting tasks or projects because you're unsure of your abilities. Sometimes even if you start, you don't follow through because you fear that you won't meet your own expectations or whatever expectations that somebody else may have of you. It's hard for you to make decisions even on small things because you're afraid that just making the wrong decision will disappoint others, which leaves you super paralyzed, like you can't even make one small decision to move forward. Not resilient. You have a really hard time internalizing mistakes as something to learn from. You actually feel like it just reflects your inadequacy. Number 2 of why I struggled with a false sense of confidence, I actually struggled with self-hate. I had a lot of negative thoughts about myself that I just didn't know how to process or address, and I would attach like all the negative things that people said about me to me as a person. And if anybody ever criticized me, even if it was like a positive criticism, like it automatically led me to crying because in my mind it just made me feel like I thought that I just was not adequate enough. Like I just was not doing what needs to be done in order to be seen as somebody valuable. And my self-hate became so much more evident when like people would cancel on me, somebody don't respond to my text, I wasn't invited somewhere. Everything was always because I wasn't good enough or always because they hated me. Everything was always my fault. And I was always the issue in every circumstance, every situation, all the time. Some other ways that self-hate may appear: constant negative talk, self-punishment or perfectionism, isolation, self-sabotage, purposefully not taking any opportunities or deliberately making a decision that you know will lead to failure, because then it would solidify your inner thought of you being a failure. Self-sabotage. Chronic shame or guilt, difficulty accepting compliments or love, avoid vulnerability, self-destructive behaviors, chronic feeling of unworthiness. There's this constant thought process in your mind that you're not deserving of happiness, you're not deserving of success, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you just don't deserve anything. Resentment towards others. You might also push people away out of the fear that people will eventually see your true self. Last reason why I struggled with false sense of confidence was because I struggled with the fear of judgment. I was always fearful of being seen as weak or vulnerable, and so I went above and beyond to like wear this mask, because anything less than perfect was just unacceptable. I was always trying to maintain this like super strong persona, and it was kind of easy to do with friends, because like you'll hang out with friends and then like you'll take a break. But it became hard when I first got married, because I'm with somebody that's with me all the time, especially around COVID time. I think we were like 2 years married during COVID. And so I had somebody that was always there with me, always wanting to know my thought process and what I was feeling. And it was hard to leave this persona of it's always I'm good, I'm fine, when I'm not. Some other ways that a fear of judgment may appear is social anxiety, overthinking interactions. Overthinking interactions is something I struggled with a lot. I would have a conversation with somebody and then come home or like, leave that conversation and nitpick every sentence, every word that I could have said, when I could have said it. Maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that, because there's this fear in me that I just left a bad impression and that I just left them with a bad taste in their mouth with who I am as a person. Like it is so crippling. So much of me just wanted to be accepted by people, and I just wanted to make sure that I said the right things when I needed to say it at the time I needed to say it, and it's just so crippling. People pleasing, avoiding vulnerability, perfectionism, self-criticism, difficulty making decision, avoiding risk or change. So there's some people that just never step out of their comfort zone because they're just so afraid of failure. They're afraid of making mistakes, crippled by the idea of perfectionism. Seeking constant reassurance, excessive self-awareness, fear of conflict, social withdrawal. I can never say that word, social withdrawal. Social withdrawals. Is that it? Social withdrawals. Difficulty accepting compliments, sensitivity to criticism. So how did I realize it? How did I come to a point where it was just like, I struggle with a false sense of confidence? And I've said this in a lot of my other videos. We as Christians cannot stop praying those prayers like, God, purify my heart. God, make me more like you. Uproot the things that are not of you. Build my character so I could resemble you. Like, those prayers are key. Because when you pray those prayers, the Lord will slowly bring things up to you that he wants you to recognize, so that he can let you know, like, hey, you actually struggle with this, and I would really love to take you on this journey. I would really love to heal this part of you. Sometimes he brings up the things that our trauma actually forced us to forget. My mind functions that way, where if I experience something weird or crazy in my childhood, it just causes me to forget. And the only way I'll remember is if the Lord brings it up to my attention. There's been a time where I was fasting one time, and a memory was brought to my mind, and I was like, this couldn't have happened to me, and it did. In order for you to survive and like just get over it, your mind causes you to forget it. And sometimes those memories and that trauma is making decisions for you in the background. It's affecting how you're acting. It's affecting how your personality is. It's affecting the decision, like your decision making skills. And God is saying, hey, you actually have this thing that's looming in your mind or in your subconscious that's affecting how you live your life. And I want to bring it up so I could heal you, so that you can make decisions from a purer place, a more holy place, a more righteous place, a healthier place. And so I started comparing my behavior, the things that I said, how I acted, like everything to his word. Whenever I felt like I wasn't adding up, whenever I felt like I was falling short, I would just be like, God, what is the root issue? Like, reveal to me the root issue, and he will. When I was out and about and in conversation and somebody said something that affected me deeper or more than I would have liked it to, I'm like, God, what is it in me that's hurting or wounded that has allowed this person's word to cut so deep, whether I know this person or not? I started to really question whether or not I truly loved myself, because I can't love people around me if I don't love myself. And if I can't love myself if I don't love God. And so there was this question of, God, do I really love you for who you are? Or do I love this idea of you? Do I love your power and what you can do for me? Or do I love you as a being? And so there was a lot of self-reflection happening. And here's what changed after the self-reflection. Number one, I became more aware of my emotions. It wasn't uncommon for me to be experiencing an emotion and for me to not be able to pinpoint it. The last two therapists, I've only had two therapists, but both of them brought up the emotions wheel. All of them are kind of different, but essentially it has like the main ones that you can pinpoint, like sad, angry, and then it breaks it down to even more detailed emotions. And so I started doing this thing where if I was feeling some type of way, which I didn't know what way it was, I would pull up the emotion wheel where I would just literally kind of like, okay, I'm sad. Okay, I'm sad because, and then it breaks down into something more specific. And so I became a little bit more aware of my emotions, which allowed me to be more empathetic towards people. And I think it's hard to be a Christian and not be empathetic or compassionate towards the people of God, because that's how Jesus did his ministry. I mean, if you look at the New Testament, a lot of times you'll see it say Jesus was moved with compassion, and then it led him to do X, Y, and Z. And so it allowed me to communicate with my community, communicate with the people that the Lord has placed in my life. And now I'm in this place where I truly understand what the Bible talks about, rejoicing with those that rejoice and weep with those that weep, like Romans 12 verse 15 says. Number two, I started to analyze my strength. The issue with my false sense of identity or my false sense of confidence is that I believed that I had to be good at everything, and I believed that I was good at a lot of things. I was just like, oh, I'm just naturally good at all the things, and in reality I'm not. And so I had to come to a place where I started analyzing my strengths, the things that I was good at and the things that I was not good at, because now I'm rooted to reality instead of this false sense of identity or confidence. For example, I am not a good singer. As much as I would have loved to be like a good singer, I'm intrigued by people that are musically inclined. That is not my story. I'm not good at overseeing big gatherings. I thought I was, but it actually causes me great anxiety. However, I am good at giving good gifts. Like it's not uncommon for me to be at a store and see something and be like, oh, this person would love this. You know what I mean? That's something I'm good at. Number three, I had to reframe my sense of worth or build my Godfidence. It's like confidence, but like biblical, so it's like Godfidence, not really like anyways, you get the idea. How do you do that? Step one, my last therapist made me do this. She made me write 20 things that I loved about myself, even if it was small. Some of us think so negatively about ourselves that we actually can't come up with like 10 things that we like about ourselves or love about ourselves. Can you? I'm talking to you. Number two, create a list of the things that God has placed in you to reflect him. Like I said earlier, I'm really good at giving good gifts. It's not uncommon for me to write a note, give a gift to somebody, and it correlate to a time in which they felt like they just needed God to show them that he sees them. And it was just that small gesture that would lead them to be like, you have no idea what this means. You have no idea what I was praying last night. That is something that I feel like reflects God in me. Number three, ask your really close friends. Emphasis on really close, which means it should not be more than 3 people. But ask them, what value do I bring to your life? Like when you think of me, what characteristics stands out? And so what you can do is compare the responses and actually see some of the gifts that God has placed in you that other people has recognized that you might not have recognized yet. Emphasis on close friends, okay? Close friends, 1 to 3 people. Okay. I think sometimes we undermine the power of our thoughts and the things that we say to ourselves. It seems small and minute, but it absolutely makes a difference, the things that you think of yourself. We have to make sure that, like Philippians 4:8 says, they are true. They're things that are noble. They're things that are pure, lovely, good report. Make sure that they're not only just positive things, but that they're biblical, that you're able to trace back some of the things that you're thinking about yourself back to the Word. I think we as Christians have this beautiful advantage of doing life with Jesus. It makes a difference when we start taking him at his word. It makes a difference when we start meditating on his word. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8 says, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success." A good life, a fruitful life, a prosperous life comes from meditating on the word, knowing what God says about you, believing what God says about you, walking in the light, in the truth of what God says about you. It makes a huge difference what you believe about yourself. I'm gonna stop pointing now. Huge difference, okay? Number 4, compassion. I had to show myself more grace. I can be really judgmental towards myself. I can be really mean towards myself, which also means I can be really judgmental and really mean towards other people, like project what's inside of me towards other people, which is why that saying is so true. Hurt people hurt people. Judgmental people judge people. Broken people break people. Like whatever is in you is what you express. And I think in the times where I've been mean and the times where I've been super judgmental is because that's how I am towards myself. And so I had to learn to start loving me, just not because I have to attain something, not because I have to achieve something, but because I am loved, but because I am his image bearer. I am loved as I am. If I never do anything more than just exist and be, like, I am loved, I am valuable. And so once I started showing myself more grace in that way and loving myself, in spite of my mistakes, in spite of the things that I did good or bad, I had to start seeing my mistakes as opportunity for growth, as a learning curve, as just a redirection, maybe do something different, learn something a different way, and understand that these mistakes are not like this defining moment of my life. Even the Bible talks about God choosing to be compassionate towards us when we fall. Psalms 37 verse 23 to 24 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." Our mistakes should not be the end of us. Even when we fall, when we stumble, we make the wrong decision, whatever it may be, just know that the Lord will uphold you. Hallelujah, Jesus. Thank you, God. The Lord will uphold you with his hand. He will not leave you. He will not forsake you. He does not see you less than. Yes, there might be some consequences to our mistakes. There might be consequences to our actions, but let us not make those mistakes define us as a person, okay? Because the Lord gave us value. The Lord sees us as worthy outside of the things that we do, the things that we earn, the accolades that we have, the degrees that we have, the jobs that we have, our relationship status. He loves us just because we are his. Woo, that doesn't bless somebody, it blessed me. Woo, thank you, Jesus. Number 5, I had to start challenging my talk track. So your talk track are train of thoughts that automatically play in your mind that over time you've come to believe them to be true. It can be something that somebody else said about you in the past, something that you've said about yourself that you now believe is true. It can be influenced by a number of things, but the baseline is that you believe these things to be true. For example, if you have this idea that nobody will ever love you, you can be in conversation and somebody says love you, automatically you think, no you don't, you're just saying that, you're lying. Those are the thoughts that automatically come to your mind and you believe them with every fiber of your being. So now you have to come to a place where you start questioning those thoughts. What evidence do I have to support that thought that just came into my mind? Is it true? Is it valid? Is it something that God has said about me? I've heard a preacher mention this before. A lie on your most vulnerable day, weakest day, hardest day will sound like the truth. And so we have to question everything, because I know more than anything when I'm having a hard day, it's so easy for me to believe things like I'm not cared for, I'm not seen, my husband is not paying attention to me. My husband doesn't love me. My friend doesn't care about me. My friend's gonna leave me. Like, it's so easy to believe those lies when you're already having such a hard day. And so it is very important to kind of build the foundation where you're constantly questioning these thoughts so that you don't automatically accept them as true. So that when you are having a hard day, it's easier to be like, no, I know I'm having a hard day and I know I really want some ice cream right now, but that is not of the Lord. And when it comes to things that you might struggle with mentally, I'd recommend finding verses that might align with some of these thoughts and committing them to your memory and repeating them to yourself, so that when a negative thought comes around that thing that you struggle with, that you can, repeat that verse and send that thought back to the pit of hell, the lake of fire, back to the devil. Okay, just send it away, because it's not of God. Our negative thoughts might have been our norm, but God wants to let you know that he wants to do a new thing. And that new thing starts today. We're gonna start questioning every negative thought that comes to our mind, every lie from the enemy, everything negative that people have said about us that caused us to shake and stumble. We're questioning every thought. If it's not true, if it's not noble, if it's not lovely, if it's not pure, if it's not of good report, we're sending it back to the pit of hell. Okay? There's also a verse that I really love, Ephesians 2 verse 10. I like the NLT version because it emphasizes the fact that I'm a masterpiece created by God to do good things. I'm just gonna read it for you though. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Jesus Christ so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. He has good things in mind for us, and so we need to start believing that about ourselves. Number 6, worked on vulnerability. I say this a lot, but real confidence comes when you're comfortable at being vulnerable. The people that God has assigned to your life will never see you as too much. So stop letting the enemy use that as an excuse to not share your story, not opening up to other people because of the fear of judgment, because they might see you as too much. Stop letting the enemy use that. You are not too much. You are not too much. I feel like I'm speaking to myself because I'm getting teary, okay? There are people out there that will hear your struggles. They will know your past mistakes. They will know the things you've done and still love you. The more you open up, the less burden you're gonna feel with this idea and this notion of being perfect, the more authentic you're gonna feel to yourself. As I started practicing being more vulnerable, something I learned about myself is that I love connection. I desire connection with people. Like, talk to me, call me, check on me, give me the same energy I give you, show me that you desire me in your life as much as I go out of my way to show you that I desire you in my life. But my false sense of confidence made me believe that I didn't need people. Their words didn't affect me. If they didn't want to be around me, then it was fine. And, I didn't have to have friends, but I desire that so much. Like, I love my friends. Like, I love feeling as if my friends care for me, thought of me, prayed for me, interceded for me, like all these things. Number 7, therapy. I know we say this all the time, but like, if you look up the statistics, only 2% of the whole world is in therapy, and that is a small amount. But however, a lot of us know the lingo. A lot of us have watched YouTube videos and stuff like that. But there are some issues that we have experienced or gone through, which having a good therapist, a faith-based therapist, would help you, give you the tools to kind of like process the things that we've experienced, give language to things that we've experienced, and teach us how to move forward. Because a lot of us, we're stuck in that whatever experience that we've experienced. We haven't been able to move forward, and we've grown up, we've become adults, but mentally we're still this broken little child. My last therapist gave me this exercise that I thought I'd share for anybody who wants to try it. Essentially, you could write the questions and answer them honestly another time, or you could just pause the video. But question number 1 says, what did the younger me want or need, and how can I give that to myself today? Number 2, what do I love? What are my interests? Number 3, what's important to me? Number 4, what qualities do I want to have? Number 5, how can I love my insecurities? I feel like I've always struggled with my sense of self, and I really enjoyed this exercise in particular because I actually sat down and thought about the things I struggled with, the character that I want to have as a Christian, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend, and really just kind of analyzed, and I enjoyed it. And so maybe you could try it out. If not, it's totally fine. Number 8, I practiced gratitude. Gratitude and joy go hand in hand. Okay, if you lose sight of the good things that the Lord has done for you and has given you in life, you will just be this bitter person who is never happy and who's never satisfied. Happiness has to start with where you are now, today. Because if you're not happy and content today, there is really nothing that you can accomplish that will bring you happiness, especially because the issue is internal and not external. And so I started doing things, I think I said it in another video, where I just started thanking God for just the basic thing. Like, I woke up today, took a breath, my lungs are working, great. My ribs are still there, great. I have a key that I could open a door with because I have a home, open a car with because I have a car, go to my office space, go to my job. Like, just the things that you're on your day-to-day that you do that we take for granted. Like, if we would just focus on the things that the Lord has blessed us with, I think it'd be easier to burst that bubble of negativity that we have. The Bible talks about giving thanks to God for essentially everything that we have. Like, everything, God gives good gifts. Everything that we have comes from above. Like, it's His mercies, His grace towards us, and we should be mindful of thanking Him for it. So let's look at the me now. Okay, the me now is self-aware, more grounded. I'm not in this false sense of self where I think I'm good at everything and I should be, you know, top dog or whatever. I'm more rooted in reality where I know my strengths and I know where I fall short. Have I overcome it all? No, but I am overcoming. Okay, God is with me. I'm boasting in my infirmities. I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting the healing process. I have tools to process things, talk through things. I have the community. Like, I'm in a good place. I am walking in the newness of life. Okay, and I think everything is a process, because I think if God revealed everything that was wrong with us all at one time, it would be way too much. It'd be overwhelming. And so He shows us things little by little that He wants us to recognize so that He can heal. He's not going to heal something that you're not bringing up to Him. And so whatever He brings up, that means He's ready to heal you. He's ready to take you on that journey. He's ready to mold you, to make you more like Him. So let us not fake confidence anymore. Like, let us stop putting it in the wrong places. Let us not put it in people or our abilities, and let's put our confidence in God, in Christ, something stable, firm foundation, the cornerstone of our faith. Because sometimes we can really get stuck in our own funk. We can get comfortable in our dysfunction and refuse to go on a healing journey, refuse to do therapy, refuse to pray those hard prayers, because we rather bleed on the ones we love. We rather bleed on our spouse, bleed on our children, bleed on our community, and project and hurt, full of anger and bitterness. We rather stay there because that's comfortable. It's what we know, because we're scared of the us that could result from being healed. We're scared of what the healed version of us looks like, and so we rather stay in our funk. And I'm here to tell you, there is not a healing journey that you should be scared of, because God is bringing you to it, and He's going to get you through it. And at the end of it, we're going to look more like Him, and that's the goal as Christians, to look more like Christ. God desires better for us. He desires wholeness. And if He desires it for us, it's time for you to desire it for yourself. You are worthy of healing. You are worthy of being whole. Start the work. Stop being lazy. No, I'm kidding. Stop being scared and start the work. Love y'all. Until next time. Oh, like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. Send to a friend, all the things. Love y'all. Be blessed. Bye.